With this background, now we move on to the next event, that is the address by the speakers. So first speaker is our good friend, Dr. Mahendra Chaudhari. So he is a professional, thoroughly worked in various poultry companies, having 30 years of experience in poultry breeding, hatchery, feed milling and laboratory. So he has worked with IPMI DHL, Eagle Agro Arboacres, KHL, Central India, Jaffa, Indonesia, Crystal Diamond, Myanmar, Golden Chicks in Tanzania. So great the CV to read, having traveled multinational companies and multinational segments. The area what we thought to offer Mr. Chaudhari was, so can Dr. Chaudhari give an idea of how critical is hatchery management? Today we feel that, broiler we only concentrate on 32 days. But I feel whether it is broiler, whether it is layer, whether it is breeder, that 21 days of gestation, like the way we care about a pregnant lady, that attitude we forgot. We care so much about pregnant lady, but we forget to care more on hatcheries. That is why I coined the term as 21 days of critical care. So all over to Dr. Mahendra Chaudhari to present on 21 days of critical care, insights of hatchery management, how one can benefit out of it. All over to Dr. Mahendra Chaudhari.
Good morning to one and all. First of all, thank you to Infa team, Dr. Mahesh, then Dr. Vijay Makhija for the opportunity and the trust. I think I have not born, but if I go back to the history, say 63 years before, I could never imagine that the standard during 1957, which I could read, is 34 gram for the chicks, and the same chick was by 56 days used to be 905 grams. That means it is growing 26 times than the day-old chick body weight. But today, if you look at 2021, the same standard have been improved to 44 gram, and same chick is growing to 100 times, becoming 4.7 by 56 days. So you can imagine that from 1957 to 2021, almost 8 to 10% improvement in the embryo development within the given same period of the time. So that has put a lot of pressure on the hatcheries to improve on the machine, to improve on the ventilation. Reason being, the same embryo which used to produce around 180 BTUs of heat, now producing 250 BTUs of the heat. So if you cannot dissipate the heat, then naturally you will lose the chick quality. So therefore, often 21 days is very important from the broiler point of view, from the meat production point of view, because even 1 gram of the chick extra, if you can produce, it will give you 10 grams, and at the end you will get 100 grams of more meat. So if you want a good broiler, what you need? You need a good chick. What do you mean by good chick? You need a good environment to produce the chick. That is called incubation. And obviously you need a good quality raw material, that is a hatching eggs. So if you look at closely the broiler life, it is 42 plus 21 days from egg to broiler. So that is around 63 days. So it takes 21 days from egg to the chick. It is also equally important, but it is in control condition where you can control the management temperature more systematically and produce the good quality chicks. And 10 days in the broiler life is more critical, which the farmer take care, and by 42 days time you get a good broiler. So major two processes are involved, development and the growth, which is done in the hatchery and the farm. So if you build a strong base, if you provide a good quality chicks, naturally you will have a good broiler. Now, what do you mean by chick quality? I mean, what we understand when we receive a chick. What are the problems with the chick? The hatchery knows about the chick quality problem when it receives and reports from the receiving farm. Now, what are the common problems we hear in the market? Like high early chick mortality, unevenness in the chick, poor weight gain during the first week, or some lameness or something like that you heard. Now what happens when you report a problem? The hatchery usually blames to the supply farm for supplying the poor quality eggs. Customer blames the hatchery for supplying the poor quality chicks. The hatchery accuses the customer or the farm not being able to look after the chicks correctly, and this go on, a person blame each other, and continuous process is on. Now what to do? What should be our action for the industry, for our as a own company, for the nation? We should open an honest discussion, share the data between the farms and the hatchery, and find the better ways to resolve the problem with the chick quality instead of blaming each other. Work out a perfect plan, take appropriate action, improve upon the quality. Can we take help of vaccine? Can we take up medicine? Can we change certain management, or do we use some probiotics or prebiotics in nowadays to keep away from the antibiotic and to improve the performance and offer a good quality product to the people? Now, if you look chick quality, there are two ways to understand the chick quality. I mean, if I receive a chicks, how do I look at the chicks at the hatchery? First one is the quantitative analysis, that is called the physical check or data recording. So where you check normally the chicks, that means the chick should have the bright round eyes, should be good looking, should have normal beak, should have nostrils and the combs properly looked after, should not be dehydrated, intact legs, long terrace with colored bright, fluffy down, uniform yellowish. So like that only everybody sees. More apart, you see whether the navels are closed properly so that the infection do not enter from the litter or the bedding material, and so we give often more importance. So in nutshell, we see good size, correct weight relative to the egg weight in terms of the hatchery, bright yellow color, sturdy legs, clear bright eyes, something like that we'll do. The another part is the qualitative analysis, which comes more important, which is not visible, but that is more important from hatchery standpoint of view or your company standpoint of view to offer the good quality product. That is body weight, yolk weight, chick length, moisture loss, chick yield. All these data are recorded. Further, the chicks are processed for microbiological analysis like bacterial contamination, fungal contamination, and the viral titers. How much they are carried, so that your chicks is which can withstand in a bad environment. Nowadays, you must have seen there are many methodologies to assess the chick quality. But because of the time limit, I am just taking one chapter from Donna Hill. She has come up with an idea with the total chick length from tip of the beak to the toe. So that gives the measure about the chick quality or the uniformity, future performance potential can indicate the falls in the incubation. The studies have shown that the chick length is related to the yolk-free body mass and can predict the subsequent performance. Of course, there are limitations, variability between the people, person to person, measurement can change. So you will have to establish your own criteria and try to keep the same persons who arrive at a conclusion so that you can predict. Now, for example, in the industry, chick weight is mostly considered. But is the chick weight is the correct way to assess? No, because absolute chick weight is not 100% good tool for the chick quality. It depends upon the flock age, it depends upon the egg size and the mass, egg mass, uniformity of the egg, hatching time, residual yolk weight, and the type of the incubations you are doing. So that you will have to do. Example, if you take a 40 grams of the chicks, normally it is expected that you should have a yolk around 10% or say 4.42 grams. But I am choosy. I take two types of the chicks. One is 52.8 gram and another is 53 gram. So I am very happy that I got the two chicks which are very similar. But is that a correct way? When you open the chicks and you try to measure the yolk-free body mass, for one chicks which is 52.8 gram is 47.5 gram, another is 38.3 gram. So you can check up the heart weight, 0.96%, 0.3%. So obviously 53 gram chicks will have the yolk sac 27.32%. So it's only a water and some other material which cannot support the growth. So the chick which is 52.8 gram having 10.15% yolk sac will definitely grow in better, and you can get say 200 or 300 or 230 grams of the body weight. Whereas keeping after 53 grams also you are not able to achieve the same body weight. So that is more important. So a lot of the companies like Aviagen and Cobb doing a lot of work recent days. So we have to understand those and go ahead with that. It has been also noticed that you can also predict the performance with the chick length. Like for example, if the chick length is good, it indicates that the intestinal length also little bit higher, so that increases the more area for the absorption of the nutrient. Obviously such chicks will grow faster. So what is ideal? Ideal is egg to chick should be 67 to 68% as far as the weight is concerned. If it is more than 68%, the chick will carry more yolk sac, it will be lethargy, and it will not go on the feed and the drink, so which will create a problem. Whereas if it is less than 67%, it will be dehydrated. If the dehydration is more than 20%, obviously it may not recover. If it is within 10%, may possible that it will recover and grow a little bit, but cannot be normal. So therefore, we must consider, as far as the quality is concerned, as far as 21 days is concerned, the end part is we must get 67 to 68% chick yield out of the eggs we set. So that is more important. Before the chick take off, we offer the product to the customer. We must check the dehydration level. Like you can see the right upper, the leg is very good, glossy. Whereas if you see at the bottom, same, you will find that the veins are looked after, they are already dehydrated, and when it reaches to the farm, you will have a lot of problems. So therefore, you must be careful when you deliver the product to the customer that is our product is good. What we are doing, it should be taken into consideration. Some other problems commonly noticed like red hogs, you will have some soiling at the vent, or you will find some injuries at the hog. So this could again be related to the temperature, humidity and ventilation part, which we will see in later slide. We must also check in the hatchery, as far as the quality is concerned, the feather blades, whether the feathers have grown up. Because if the feathers have grown up, that means the chicks are already produced in the hatcher long time, they have already started their life. So they will be weak because they are using their yolk sac nutrients and they cannot perform the same. So we must ensure that the chicks what we provide is pulled on time, they should not be delayed, because delayed chicks cannot match the standard body weight or close to the standard body weight. Sometimes you get injuries to the nostril. It's a very simple method. Maybe with the light intensity more, the boxes do have the holes. So they are just peeping out from the boxes holes and they get an injury. So simple thing what you can do is you can reduce the light intensity or use the blue light so that they become calm and quiet. So that is how you can improve the chick quality. Now, it would be useful to have a reliable, objective, predictive method of assessing chick quality. However, the chick quality appears difficult to quantify and most assessments are highly subjective. It depends upon farmer to farmer, it depends upon hatchery to hatchery and the level of operation. So none of the current methods have been verified as being useful in predicting anything, including the future performance on the farm. So these are all just predictions, but they cannot give you the correct idea. Now what we can do? Now, how to assess? The best assessment of the chick quality, what can easily be measured at the farm is 7-day mortality. So oftenly you will find many of the people, they look for 7-day mortality. So that gives a fair idea about how the hatchery process is going on, how the breeder flock performance is there or health is there. So it is vital to have the good and the honest communication and the data exchange between the farms and the hatchery to develop mutual best practices and provide the good quality. Now, before we do that, we must know the acceptable and the normal. For example, it's a biological system. You cannot have the same time pull out around the year. You will always have 1 or 2 hours here and there. So what we expect? We expect some mortality, some losses are there which are unavoidable due to nature. So you get a fertility around 90 to 98% normally, highest fertility with the infertile 1 to 2% if you are doing artificial insemination. So it depends upon again the breed, strain, age of the flock, health, status of the breeder, artificial insemination, type of the males you are using, strain you are using. The other part of the hatchery apart from infertile is the 4 to 5% is the death embryo or embryo mortality. As the age advances, it goes from 4 to 12%. So depending on the breed, age of the flock, fertility, egg storage, and other incubation condition, it varies. So once you know the normal and acceptable level, you can have the conclusion where we can improve, how we can improve the chick quality. Early embryonic mortality, usually considered 1 to 7 days, 1 to 3 days is more important in terms of handling egg storage, pre-incubation conditions and other things. Usually 1 to 7 days is 2.5%, where the blood and the circulation systems are developing. Generally, poor egg handling, age of the flock, incubator problems, fumigation, egg disinfection. For example, if the eggs are wet or they are having sweating, and if you are fumigating, the noxious gases are added into those water droplets, and you may get some toxication, you may get some early embryonic death. So that is how you can predict. Next is 8 to 14 days, which is called as middle embryonic mortality. It is usually 0.5 to 1%. Usually the breeder nutrition and the incubator hygiene and the other related issues are related to this. Late embryonic mortality 15 to 21 days. Normally it is 2 to 3%. Could be majorly the incubator problems are there. Farm is not much of a related to this issue. It is majorly related to the temperature, humidity, turning, pull out time, age of the flock, contamination, and egg orientation. So these may cause the problem. Now let's see one by one fertile eggs, like how they look. 12 hours after the development, you will see a ring there, white ring you can see below the arrow. So that is the cell development. Blastoderm has already started, so which you can see visibly. So it shows some pre-incubation and pre-development. So that is how you can say the eggs are fertile. Where you get a blind spot, that means the egg is not fertile. At day 3, you will find the heartbeats, blood vessels are already visible, so you can make out when you open an egg that this is a 3 days egg. Could be because of lower fertility, pre-incubation temperatures and handling process, poor egg storage, improper egg handling, rough setting eggs. Then day 4, embryonic development, you will see the eye pigmentation easily visible, so you can make out this is a day 4, pre-incubation, poor egg storage, improper holding time, rough setting of the eggs, contaminated eggs, drugs and the toxin also can have this such type of the mortalities. Day 8 is again more important, where you can, how you can know it is a day 8 is because of the egg tooth, and egg tooths are very visible. So once you see the egg tooth or the beak, front of the beak, there is a white spot is there. So that is how you know that this is a day 8. Further, feather tracks are seen at this age. Upper and the lower beak is equal in length. There are certain problems. Troubleshooting could be because of the improper temperature, insufficient egg holding time, rough setting of the eggs, contaminated. Nutritional parameters are responsible. Day 15, normally gut is drawn into abdominal cavity. Maybe improper turning, improper temperature, improper ventilation, contamination, and nutritional causes can have the mortalities during day 15th or day 14th or day 16. So therefore, we must know which is the date and how are the embryos looked at. Day 19, embryo development is advanced, yolk sac drawn into the body cavity, amniotic fluid gone, embryo occupies most of the space within the eggs. Now, what are the problems? Sometimes the chicks are there in the eggs, but they cannot come out. So you lose the hatchability, you lose the chick quality because of the poor ventilations and higher humidities in the hatcher. So maybe because of rough transfer, vaccination, wet trays and the hatchers, inconsistent transport, improper turning, improper temperature, humidity, ventilation, inverted eggs. Sometimes you find pipped eggs, dead or live. Dead in the shell or full-term embryo. Could be because of low humidity or the temperature for a longer period in the setter. Hatcher humidity is low. High temperatures during the hatching, poor ventilation, prolonged egg storage, inadequate turning between 1 to 12, and injury at transfer can cause dead even though they are pipped. So you will not have the chicks availability from those eggs. Sometimes the chicks, the eggs are not pipped at all. Means they maybe have a small holes. They are, because no exchange of the air, they dead inside the shell. So full-term embryo, large yolk sacs are there. So they are unable to push and come out from the eggshell. Yolk sac may not be fully engulfed by the abdominal wall and may have the residual albumin. So this is because of the low setter temperature, high setter temperature, humidity is high, poor ventilation, prolonged egg storage. Egg may be chilled at the transfer. It is taking long time at the transfer. Normally, I have seen many of the hatcheries, they transfer, they candle the eggs at 18 days, remove certain. So that is how the egg within the hatcher trays, the distribution of the heat is not proper, because every day do not have the same number of the eggs. So I suggest do not candle at 18 days. Just candle for your own information, little bit numbers, and transfer as quickly into the hatcher with the same number from the setter. So that will give the even distribution of the air and the temperature within the hatcher, and it will help the chick to produce in better quality. That is okay in the pure lines or the GGPs where the quality is most concerned, even though your hatchability is little less, is not of importance, but the quality is more important. But in commercial operation, we need more numbers also as far as the profitability is concerned.
Some another 5 minutes.
Yeah. Then breeder disease. Then partially PIP, you will have the embryo alive or the embryo dead. Could be because of the high carbon dioxide or full-term embryos, excessive fumigation. Then hatch early could be excessive noise or dry skin or increased 7-day field mortality, breeder differences, setter temperature, setting too many age groups together. Then you have a chicks hatching late, could be green chicks. When you pull the chicks, you will find the eggs do have the green coloration on the eggs. So that indicates the hatcher, the humidity is more. Swollen abdomen, unhealed navel, wet necks, maybe large egg, old breeder, egg stored too long, setter humidity, weak embryos, inbreeding, like that only. So slow hatch, maybe because of the mixture of the eggs from young and old, large and the small eggs, improper egg handling, hot or cold spot, like that only. So there are different malpositions also you can see because of the eggs set small end up, maybe old breeders, round shape eggs, or maybe some other issues. Unhealed navel is commonly seen because of the irregularities in the temperature of the setters, hatchers, and poor nutrition. So same way you can see the different issues at the hatchery in providing the good quality chicks, stingy navel, other navel issues, red hawks. Then you will see the brain hernia, which is also common see because of the high level. More often you will find the poor chick quality, spraddle legs and other things, crooked throws, because of the baskets are too low, setter temperature may be too high or the low. Apart from that, once the chicks is produced, PIP embryo test is performed, which gives some indication of the mycoplasma infection. So I suggest you must do the quality control program at your hatchery and assess the mycoplasma position, which will help you to take care of your breeder mycoplasma control program as well as what to do in the broiler in case the problem is there. Looking to the gizzard lesion, you can also have the rough idea about the Rio and some other gizzard lesions, why they are coming. Liver lesions gives you salmonella infection, some indication, yolk sac infection, like if the yolk sac color is black, you can predict that some bacterial infection is there, like a proteus or something. So that is how you can have some control and produce the good chick quality in 21 days. And with the time, thank you for the IFA and all the teams and listeners for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary. I really appreciate sharing the practical insight on the 21 days of critical care. So through your presentation, we learned that the hatchery is a vital part of the entire broiler value chain and how chick quality influences the future crop performances. And you shared a very practical tips around the assessment of hatchery and the troubleshooting aspects of the addressing those issues. So Dr. Chaudhary, please stay around. We will have a Q&A session. I already see questions coming up for you. So thank you so much. And I pass it on back to Dr. Mahesh.